So just want to say how important this is to both the Julian Assange case and with this Tommy Robinson or Yaxley Lennon case, where they were talking about plea deals or whatever, right? In this 1847 Act, it's got the oaths in it. Okay, I've seen some older oaths from like the 1600s, right? You got oaths for jurors. And the juror's oath says that they've got to know all the rights of the citizens, which is, now those jurors, they're the permanent ones, so they're like the councillors, because they're not the assizes, the random jury, right? And these oaths are a lot more closer to our oaths, right? They're the same thing for the same purpose. That's what you need to know, right? They're the same thing for the same purpose. Now, the complaint, the oath for the complaint here, which is basically just like a petition, humbly showeth, right? That's the same form as the petition to Parliament. That's the same form. But also, it's got for election, this is what I wanted to talk about here, right? This is actually an oath that an elector takes at an election, not the candidate. This is like everyone who goes to vote. This is important because this means that when you're actually voting in an election, it is like a cause or case. Obviously, if you're electing an MP, it's to Parliament. So this is absolutely amazing if you actually know what this is, right? So when it says here, right, I, A, B, well, that's where you put your name, right? It says, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not received or had myself or any person for any use or benefit or any sum or sums or money, office, place or employment, gift or reward or any promise for security of any money, office, place or employment for gift or reward in order to give my vote at this election. Well, your vote, you're not giving a statement at the election, you're not a witness, you're not giving evidence, you're not putting a complaint in, you're actually just, it's yes or no, right? But you have to have an oath for that. And that's the same as the justice's oath when he's administering justice. He swears an allegiance. He's got an oath of allegiance, which we don't actually take the oath of allegiance. That's for the justices and the sheriff. Not all sheriff's oaths had allegiance, but now the description of the oath is important because it gives us information. And this is the thing to do with Rees-Mogg, right? To do with the fact that he's not allowed to provide entertainment, because in the 1688 Acts for elections, it says that they're not allowed to entertain people in exchange for votes, right? Well, if Rees-Mogg's on GB News being an entertainer, then he's actually providing entertainment, because it's actually a current affairs show. He's actually giving entertainment, and also he's in getting paid for it as well, and not paid by the government. And so it's not just news program. They're only allowed on news programs, and they only are allowed on to update as, like, you know, any other story lets you know what's happening or going on. They can inform you what they've done or what they're doing, and no more. You can't hold surgery with them, and you can't really put suggestions to them because they provide a surgery to put suggestions or petitions committee or an office in Parliament. Otherwise, the TV programme is actually a private company for profit, is making money from holding surgery with MPs, which that is illegal. And I don't even know how they're even entertaining the idea now, or how they're even entertaining it. But this oath here, so it's effectively yes, no, right? Or you vote for who you want, right? You tick a box. And actually, you can write their name down. You're meant to write the candidate's name or the person, right? The person's name. Now, this is really important because Now, you might say, well, what about the political party, right? What about the political party? What about their policies? What if they say, if you vote for us, we're going to raise the taxes, or if you vote for us, we're going to lower them, or even, I'll build you a new park if you vote for me, or we're going to build a new park. Well, what I will say is, when the candidate or the political party present their case, that's the evidence. It's like if you're going to court, right, what is the actual evidence itself, right? I am this MP, I'm self-promoting myself, this is who I am, this is the type of person you're voting for, this is my character, evidence of character, and these are the things that I believe in, or whatever. But really, it's part of the evidence. But he's saying that he will, these are the things that party kind of represents. But really, they're meant to be acting for us, not for a party anyway, because they've got selfless policy. This is where it all gets a bit ridiculous. But I would say that they're presenting they're giving evidence basically of who they are and what they stand for, right? Which that's permissible to have some kind of, you've got to know who they are and what type of person they are and what they believe in themselves as a person. Although they're meant to be serving us, they're meant to be selfless, really, but they can present, they've got to, you can give them evidence, like they can lay evidence, but that's still not anything to do with the conscience of the individual, though, right? What's happening here, right, is that if the MP was to say that, if John Simpkins votes for me, I'll build him that park that he's been wanting, right? You can't do that. You could say that, we're the Lib Dems and we are, we are all for parks, we like parks, or we support the countryside, right? But you can't say that, I'm going to get you a park if you vote for me. You can't do that. But after he's been elected, if the public want a park, they can go around and petition him for a park after he's been elected, right? It's not to obtain the electoral position. Do you see what I mean? In order to obtain the electoral position, once he's been voted in, then you can say, right, we'd like to try and get a park, and then we'll get signatures or ask him to represent you in Parliament for it if he will. But that once he's in position, he can do that, but he can't do that to get into position, right? Because then you're negotiating, you're bargaining for your position, right? You can't bargain for the position. You can just say, right, this is me, this is what I stand for. If you want to vote for me, vote for me. If you don't, right? Now, the thing is with this, it's just like the plea, right? The plea is guilty or not guilty, yes or no, right? Will you vote for me, yes or no? It doesn't go further than that question on the ballot paper. On the ballot paper, the question is, vote for the party that you support and not for the party that you oppose, right? Or write down the name of the person, right? It's a singular question. It cannot be more than that question, right? That is the question. To be or not to be, that is the question, right? Now, so they can't offer now a reward, a gift, a place. Well, if you use this as a model, this is an oath that we take, electors, right? Now, the judge has got an oath that he cannot serve justice for gift or reward. In America, they say, without respect to persons, the individual conscience of the person, which is the same as the jurors, right? Now, if you read this, it's the same thing. Promises, rewards, gifts. It means the same. We know it means the same. It's just giving us a little bit more information. We know that without benefit or use of money, office, place, employment, gifts, rewards, right? In order to give the vote. right? Well, that's the same as the jury. You know, the jury can't have gifts or rewards in order to give a verdict either. We know that. Now, when you are at court and when you are asked to enter a plea, right? To plea or not to plea, that is the question. Well, if you're entering a claim of a right, and I'm not talking about these ridiculous European Euro rights of, you know, freedom of expression, tosh, which is like, apparently, you know, the law can impose themselves on it. We're talking about proper rights that, you know, removes the court from authority and jurisdiction of the matter, you know, because you've got judgment of your peers anyway, so why would you be going in front of a jury when you've already, you know, you're pursuing a cause? Right. To plea or not to plea, that's the first question, if it's an overriding objective on a right, privilege or interest, because it shall not be construed as a defence against a charge. So to plea or not to plea or not to plea, that is the question. Well, right, so that's your first one, you know, because shall not be construed as a defence against a charge, right, for right, privilege or interest, to plea or not to plea. So if we are pleading, right, this is like Yaxley Lennon now, right? Yaxley Lennon, they're talking about plea deals, just like Assange. And this is what Julian Assange needs to understand, right? And even Jeremy Corbyn is apparently trying to help Assange for his plea, for his pardon, right? I've complained to the American courts about this myself. Now, you can't have a plea deal. It can't exist because you are going further than the question. The question is, did you commit the crime? That's what the question is. The question is, did you commit the crime? Yes or no? How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? Did you commit the crime? If you did, then you admit it and you will be sentenced. If you deny the crime, then you have to prove your innocence, right? And you'll go on trial in front of a jury when we get to that. But at that point, the question is, and no, it cannot be more than, did you commit the crime? Yes or no? That is the question, right? Like in an election, who are you going to vote for? Which person, right? Write down their name, right? Or tick the box, right? And similarly, when you're entering your plea as a defendant, not only the juror, surely, because the judge cannot serve justice for gift or reward, right? So therefore, the defendant cannot enter his plea on gift or reward either, which is the same as this for giving your vote in an election. Every elector, right? I've not received or had myself or any person seen without respect to persons for any use or benefit, any sum or sums of money, office, place. Well, that's prison. Prison's a place. If you do a deal for a lower sentence in prison or for a place on a community service order is a place, right? Or employment. Well, you might say that community service is not employment because it's unpaid work. But that's a place, though. Doesn't have to be employment, doesn't have to be paid work. Unpaid work is a place on a community service order, right? Gift, a reduced sentence, or reward, a reduced sentence, a reward. Gift or reward in order to give their vote at this election. Well, that's to give a plea as well, surely, right? This is it. This is Blair, right? This is Tony Blair and Margaret Thatcher perverting the course of justice, right? And don't tell me they've redacted the oath or changed it. You know what it means, right? You know what it means. It means the same. It's never meant any different, right? How is it possible in a court of law? Every justice, nearly. How many justices haven't given them a plea deal? Can this come to, I mean, how can you How can we do this? How could this is probably more significant than World War II or one. No wonder they're having to kick Putin off and threaten us with nuclear weapons. Potentially every single judge in England, right? If we lock up every single judge in England, how are we going to have any court cases if they're all in prison? And don't say, oh, well, they'll just have to stand down and resign like Boris Johnson. We want them impeached. They should know better. They're claiming to be, they're using the title honourable. They're commanding the title honourable. They're commanding you sit. All rise, stand down, take him down, send him down, right? Send him down to the cells, right? How has it happened? Where's the intelligence of the university degree? Some of these magistrates don't have a legal qualification. They do a 5-day course. They're probably related to the police chief's cousin's auntie's uncle or whatever. How are these Crown prosecutors getting through a university degree? What do they think of? After, what runs through the mind of a mouse? What runs through the mind of a Crown prosecutor, right? When on a Sunday, when they're having an ice cream at Skegness on the beach, they're the last thing they want to think about law, right? Doesn't it ponder in their mind? Or what have they been taught at university? Not to think for themselves, not to question. Is it because they're all under a general? Is it an army attorney general? This is the thing. And it's the attorney general who sent Aidan Eadley to do this when Eadley has been working part-time as a judge, which you're not meant to do because they've got a monopoly on law. They can, if judges are working as barristers, they can, the courts can say to their other judges, hey, wouldn't it be good if we could get, a lawyer to present a case this way? It'd work really good for us. That means that we can fuck everyone this way or that way. And then they can present just a person, get a judge to present a case because we'd like to go through a test case. How is it a test case? If you have a science lab, right, you've got a control blind experiment, right? Control blind experiment. It's no test case when the guy who's testing the case is one of the judges. Hey, let's do a test case where the prosecutor's a judge and the judge is a judge and they work at the same court or have done or colleagues through the courts. Not, hey, here's some completely independent barristers with a plaintiff who have no relation or connection to the court and here is a defendant, right, or whatever. And let's do a test case without any unbias or impartiality. Oh, no, just a minute. The Aidan Eadley is working part-time as a judge, and there's his best friend pal, Jeremy Johnson, KC, up in front of the court. He's a judge. Do you think we can claim impartiality on this? Is there some kind of place, office, money, office, place or employment? Hey, Aidan Eadley, we'll give him an office or place in the court. If he does well as a barrister, we can offer him a place as a judge. Make your mind up whether we want to be a barrister or an attorney. This is, what can be done? It's almost kind of like in some kind of event from the Bible, isn't it? When they would go around and mark the doors, mark the justices, which ones haven't got a mark on them. I know it's like in William Penn, and I'll put my mark on you, which of these justices haven't been perverted, corrupt, abusive process, professional negligence, all of the above. Never mind getting someone up on 5 charges, every single corruption charge you could possibly get. But how can they, is it stupidity? How do they plead stupid or corrupt? It can only be one or the other, or both, stupid and corrupt. It must be a cult. Some of them must know these things. Some of them must know it. Some of them must have had a brain and insight. How have they been talked down? Is it like in Parliament when the Speaker goes, we're not having any debate over, this or that or Southport or whatever. And then you start to question the Chief Justice. it's, you know, how corrupt can you get? There's got to be, I mean, at least one of them, surely, who can think for themselves, you know? I mean, it's a lost cause. I mean, it's, I mean, what can you do? What actually, it's so serious that surely the public's outrage would surely, it's so, the public outrage is unbearable for them. They have to, I don't even think that they're going to lower themselves down gradually from the top of the building like King Kong, you know, and I don't think anyone's going to take them out because, you know, you got to do it lawfully. So, you know, well, this is the thing. I don't think they're going to come down. I don't think they're going to relinquish because, you know, they'll have to get Putin, and with the threat of nuclear war, pressure on us, and then legal immigrants, you know, more serious matters, there's crime everywhere, and get us fighting each other to somehow distract, dispel, dilute the outrage, or just completely evade liability for how much longer. The longer and longer in Magna Carta that justice is delayed, the more serious the crime. It's we need divine intervention. There must be some divine intervention. You know, this is real. This is actually real, and I don't know what we're actually going to get done about it, because now they're just doing charades games with, you know, actually Lennon. They're doing political stunts, theatre, in order to somehow. I don't think he can break it to anyone gently, and I don't think that by the time they've messed around, they're hoping that it's going to go away, and either Putin will take us all out with a nuclear war, and then they can, you know, start afresh, or they're hoping that it's just going to go away. Probably how they managed to get into this position. There likely were people calling it out the whole time. There were likely people saying, like, when Tony Blair did the congestion charge, that those voices were quashed, quietened, silenced. But who would want to take on such a corrupt system, you know? And really, it's actually a crime against the people. It should be the military, but, you know, the military have got no interest in protecting us. Apparently, they're helping this military-style operation beyond leaders with children at their disposal. That's, you know, taking over planet Earth. Our military apparently are being sidelined helping do that, helping take over the world and be traitors to England. So, you know, I don't see the army. If an offence against the people by a large force, which is a court system, is going to be dealt with by the army. But I don't see the Defence Secretary helping us out. Do you? No, because the shame is, you know, the shame is unbearable. You know, and what's the name of the country going to be left with? You know, what is the image of the country going to be? You know, this is what they're doing to all these foreign countries, you know, all this propaganda and so forth, naming and shaming. And Putin apparently is a war criminal as well. But yeah, he's carrying on with apparently this mighty country called BRICS or whatever, which, you know, if it's not China and America taking over with social point system, then we get BRICS instead. It seems like, you know, whichever way you do it, they're building some kind of wall or something. So, you know, what? I think there's actually there's a legal procedure when there's some kind of severe. Well, in an election, you can call an election void. You can say to the Electoral Commission, you know, this is void or whatever, because there's too much interference. So, you know, a lot of these legal cases are void.